All right, guys, we're going to do our very first lesson for two-point perspective. And what's interesting is by the end of this lecture, you'll know everything you'd need to know to create this drawing. Now, you might need a little more instruction and a little more practice, but I'm really going to introduce everything you would need to know. And the reason why I can do that is there's really just two rules for this perspective. And those two rules are this. We're going to draw lines, and our lines can either be vertical or they can go to the vanishing point. No other choices, no guessing. Of course, we can eventually build on this and make it more complex, but to basically create a drawing that looks like this, if we draw lines that are vertical or go to a vanishing point, we've created this kind of image. Now, those are the rules, but they deserve some explanation. So let's get into this. So here's my sheet of paper, and just for demonstration, I'm going to use a yellow highlighter for what I would call invisible lines. These are things you don't have to draw, but just to make the lecture clear, I want you to see what I'm doing, even though you wouldn't necessarily draw this. So to start this off, I'm going to draw a line in the middle of my paper, and I have my paper orientated landscape. So again, here's my invisible line that I'm drawing, and you don't have to. And then what I'm going to do at each end of the line is put a dot. Tiny, tiny dot. One dot on the left, one dot on the right. And so that is going to be my vanishing point. So this is left, vanishing point. So I'm just going to abbreviate it VP, vanishing point on the left. And over here, right, vanishing point. And so going back to our rules, my lines are either going to be vertical, and when I say they need to go to a vanishing point, this is what I mean. They're going to go to either a dot here on the left side or a dot here on the right side. So let's start. What I'm going to do for this demonstration is I'm just going to do about 5 vertical lines. A vertical line is a line that goes up and down. Buildings are vertical. Trees are vertical. When I stand up, I'm standing vertical. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So far, it should make sense. My lines can either be vertical, and that's what these are. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this line, and I'm going to connect it to this right vanishing point. So I take my ruler, I'm going to line it up with the bottom of this line, and then I'm going to line it up with the vanishing point. So there it is, and I draw a line. And I'm going to do the same with the top of this line. So I go to this vertical line, I take my ruler, and I put it on the end of this line, and then I line it up to this vanishing point. I'm going to do the same with this. I'm going to take this vertical line, put it on the top of it, and draw a line to my vanishing point. This is almost like graphing for the arts. You know how in your math class you'll be asked to graph an equation? This is really similar. I don't need to know the angle of this line. This isn't something I have memorized. Instead, I just, like a graph, know that it has to go to this point. I don't have to, walk into art class already knowing the answer. Instead, I use my vanishing point to calculate it for me, if you would. And I have one last vertical, so I'm going to go to this vertical and draw it to the vanishing point. All right, and this is a good place to revisit our rules. I've done this step, and I started with 5 vertical lines, and I connected them to a vanishing point. So every line right now on my drawing is either vertical or going to the vanishing point. So let's continue. We're going to continue to use these 2 lines, and what we're going to do is now return to these, and now I'm going to go to one of my vertical lines, and I'm going to connect it to this vanishing point, and connect that to that. I'm going to go to this vertical line and to the left vanishing point, connect that to that, and it can get a little visually confusing. These lines for this drawing are going to go through each other. But again, I'm just finding my verticals and connecting them, in this case, to the left vanishing point. So I just have a few more lines to draw. In fact, I think just 2 more. So I'm looking at this vertical. I'm putting my ruler on the end of the vertical and going to the left vanishing point. And there we have it. I've completed my drawing, and every line on here is either vertical or is going to a vanishing point. And that is the foundation to creating a drawing like this.